What's up, everybody? Welcome to podcast now. I'm Alex, and this video I want to talk about Nate Fox's comments on InFamous that, I don't know, it's just got me believing, right? You need a little bit of hope every now and then, and to be fair, and especially to be fair to him and to Sucker Punch, while they've destroyed our hopes before when it's come to InFamous and Sly Cooper, I guess, in particular, they've never outright said, it'd be one thing if they said, hey, we never want to do this again in our lives, right? And specifically, you think about Nate Fox, right? And I don't know if he's the studio head. I know he's very, very high up in Sucker Punch. He's been around forever. I mean, he was around with Sly Cooper, and I owe a lot to that man for how much I love Sly Cooper. But, even when they crushed our hopes a couple of years ago, right, which I think was also in July, and they said, hey, we're never, or I guess not that, right? They said, hey, we're not doing those games, right? Well, remember, they came out and said, we're not doing it, and no one else is doing it, and that's really what killed us all. They never expressed that they were never going to do it ever again in their lives. So Nate Fox comes out today, and he specifically, so you can't record on this phone while actually having the quote up, so I'm going to just kind of paraphrase, but he said he would love to work on InFamous again, and he would also like to see a re-release, like a trilogy, like a remaster type thing. But then he went on to say that Sucker Punch is a one-game, at-a-time studio, and they're working on Ghost of Yotei, and they're very excited for Ghost of Yotei, right? Kind of the ending is kind of that classic corporate talk, right? Where it's like, hey, we're working on Ghost, we're very excited about Ghost. You're not going to say too much more about like anything else. But honestly, that first part, it makes me believe, I guess as much as it possibly can, right? Like, I don't know, you can't really take that and run with it, right? Like, he wants to do InFamous again. I guess there is one thing to be said, right? When you have people that are that high, and somebody that, is his position of power, you almost think to, like, a Neil Druckmann, right, of Naughty Dog. Like, if he's out there saying, hey, I never want to work on Uncharted again, there's your kind of hint, I feel like, right, that Naughty Dog would never work. Now, that didn't happen, by the way. I'm just kind of coming up with it. But if he ever says that, right, it's like, well, you kind of shut that stuff down. So the opposite might also be true, right? The fact that he says, hey, I'd work on it again. In fact, he literally said the word love, right? He would love to work on InFamous again. It's like, hey, we talk about it all the freaking time. Right now, normally I bang the drum, specifically with Sucker Punch and specifically with Sly Cooper, right? That's just a personal favorite, but we've talked a lot about InFamous on the channel over the past like freaking 5, 6, 7 years. It is a franchise, and Prototype too. I make a lot of Prototype videos as well, both of them. It's a genre that's just so untapped. You think about maybe even like, Crackdown kind of reminds me. That was a different kind of open world, but just some of these like weirder, and I guess Prototype and InFamous specifically, right? This anti-hero type situation. Like, I think it just has so much potential. It really does, and especially nowadays, right? Where worlds, you think about GTA and Red Dead and Witcher, and I'm up for having a world that's like absolutely gigantic. You think about the world of Prototype and the world of like InFamous. Well, I replayed both of those games, InFamous 1 and Prototype, within the last like year and a half. Like, they are enough. That's a sizable enough world. You know what I mean? It's like, I think we need more of those. I think we could return, and you know what? You don't need to make it like an 80-hour Witcher or 80-hour Red Dead or 80-hour GTA or Persona. You don't really need to do that. Like, you can make an open world and even make it smaller than Horizon. You think about Horizon, 30, 40, 50 hours. Make it like 20 or 30, and it's just, it's one little play box, type area, sandbox, I guess, right? And you just have people go at it. So, I know I'm just kind of ranting, but it's like InFamous, I think, InFamous and Prototype, but obviously because we're talking about Sucker Punch here, like InFamous, I think just has so much potential, and like they just left it. They left it. I get it to go to Ghost, and I think Ghost of Tsushima was miles better than at least Second Son and First Light, I guess, right? But they had something with InFamous 1 and 2, and it's like, just to leave that feels wrong. Like, I don't know if it could have became a God of War and an Uncharted or Last of Us, like, at the same time, right? Those were all happening at the same time. I don't know if it ever would have reached that, but it was definitely, like, the next tier down, you know what I mean? So, I don't know, I've always wanted InFamous to come back, and I guess, again, getting back to what he said, at least they're willing. Like, I don't know, after this, going from Ghost of Tsushima to Ghost of Yotei, you want to believe maybe it goes from Yotei, maybe after this one they say, okay, look, we've worked on the same franchise, and we've done it now for, say, 10 years. Like, say they did 5 years for Tsushima, and we know now they've done 5 years, 5 plus, for Yotei. So it's like, okay, you do something for 10 years, why don't you do something else? Or, hey, I got an idea, why don't you split into a smaller team, right? So, I mean, I'm only focusing on the first part, right? He would love to work on InFamous again. What about the fact that he specifically talks about a Trilogy remaster or like re-release? 100%. I've made videos on that, right? Make a small team, 30, 40, 50 people, put InFamous 1, 2, Festival of Blood, Second Son, First Light. All of those games are not together in any form right now. They're all separate. Well, some of them are separated, some of them are not, but they're not all together, right? So put them all together, get a remaster out for PS5 / or cross PS6, right? I mean, let's do that. I mean, do it right after Ghost of Yotei. You have a main team working on something really big, or maybe you go back to InFamous fully, right? But you do that, and then you have another team that does re-release, right? Like a remaster trilogy. Why not, you know? And why not, by the way, have Nix's do it or some other PlayStation studio? Why can't they do it? I don't know. I just feel there's so much potential. I think InFamous can sell. It's not a game that's going to come out and sell like 500,000 and you're going to have to lay everybody off. I think it can sell millions, and it was selling millions anyway. So there's my thoughts on it for the day. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, the icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.